PSUs are setting up manufacturing unit all across India. And it is not just that PSUs are having technologies and they're using efficiently to bring accountability, transparency in their working operation, as well as helping the organization to grow rapidly. Central government PSUs are steering the national economy and making Atmanirbhar Bharat. To know the mantra for central PSUs to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have T. Radhakrishnan, editor ET Government, in conversation with Neel Ratan, leader government PwC India. Over to you.
Hi, welcome to National PSU Summit Fireside Chat. I'm T. Radhakrishna, editor ET Government. With me, Mr. Neel Ratan, representing PwC. PwC India and Neel Ratan are synonymous for more than 2 decades. Mr. Neel Ratan is world leader and leader public sector and government sector practices. Sir, welcome to the show. Sir, you have seen the birth of first official policy, national e-governance policy, way back in 2005, 2006. Now digital government. Technology has become an integral part of the government of India and many state governments in the country. How do you see the progress of the technology innovation in the government sector?
I'll tell you, if we look at the big pieces of transition which have happened, I think one major difference which has now come through as we move forward with Digital India is the whole platform approach. Historically, we were very happy with kind of building the foundational layers of getting the data centers in place, getting a network in place, getting the basic applications in place, whether it was in agriculture or police or finance, etc., etc. We just got the basic components in place. What we are trying to do now, we can see, is that how do we build platforms? Say, for instance, I think NPCI has been a great platform. Aadhaar has been a great platform. The new health stack is a great platform which comes in. What it does, it kind of it creates a enabling mechanism for the full ecosystem to operate and provide benefits in a particular area. The interplay between Jan Dhan accounts and Aadhaar and mobile, we've seen what kind of benefits it's given. The entire DBT, say, for instance, is able to work on that. The entire eKYC for the financial services sector happens on that. The ability of telecommunications providers are able to provide quick connectivity comes in from there. Similarly, I think as we move forward with the National Digital Health Mission, something similar would happen. Something similar would happen today. Every hospital, every clinic operates, they've got technology working for them, but they operate completely disjointed. And a patient, if the moment he moves from one hospital to the other, he loses all digital record keeping, which may have been done in any shape or form at all. But another example which comes to my mind of DBT I was talking earlier, the Prime Minister on August 9th announced that we've transferred 17,000 crore to 8.5 lakh to crore farmers, and this benefit went directly to the bank accounts with just the press of a button. How did this happen? I think this is the transformation from National E-Governance Plan to Digital India.
Yeah, for more than 2 decades, the government of India has been taking a leadership role in adopting the technology in most of the ministries, whether it is a Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, whether it is agriculture, whether it is a finance. How do you balance the technology adoption between the central government and state governments? Because there is a demarcation between their responsibilities. Can you please?
Yeah, I think a very interesting question. I think there is a demarcation in responsibility, but for the citizen, there has to be a joined up service to be provided. Aadhaar, if an Aadhaar capability now exists, the demarcation may be there, but we need to be able to provide a joined-up service. A very classical program I'll talk about, which personally I've been working on, and the Prime Minister saw a glimpse of that recently, and it's called Unnati. It is a platform for providing jobs for the migrant laborers. Today, there are more than 30, 40 government portals which are attempting to do this part. Many of them at the state government, many of them at the central government level, etc. But for the moment we look at from a migrant labor standpoint, for him, he needs a job. He does not know how to get to 40 different portals to get a job. So it is, while the responsibilities are alienated very clearly, we need to find ways in which we can work in a cohesive manner between central government and state government and multiple state governments together to be able to provide that seamless service. I'll give you a few more examples. GSTN has been a classic example. Earlier, everybody had to file any corporate had to file their tax returns, especially the VAT returns, going to every website of every state government and come to CBEC and do it separately. Now, all the GST returns can be done on a single portal. One of the schemes which was announced recently was about One Nation, One Card. So a ration card, if I have kind of migrated from Bihar to Gujarat, I should be able to get ration in Gujarat. So now, this would require the central and state government to work at the technology layer and at the policy process layer in a far more integrated manner, because for citizen, for the beneficiary, he's looking up to the government, and for him to distinguish, this is the central government, this is the state government, this is one department, this is the other department, just makes the experience to him very shallow.
Yeah, national portability has become an order for a few ministries. Perhaps it will expand it to other verticals as well. In that scenario, like National Digital Health Mission is national portability, telecom is a national portability, agriculture is becoming a national portability. Now migrant workers, Unnati is becoming a national portability. How do you see the role of state governments aligning with the central government's the big vision as a consultant to the institutions? What is your perspective?
See, I think it's about creating the joint grand vision, and it's about keeping the citizen right in the center of that thinking. The roles and responsibilities are very clearly delineated in the constitution for the country. They're very well understood. But there are enough examples, and all of the examples which you took does not impinge upon that to use technology more effectively to provide that joint up service. This is the order of the day. And actually, one will need to go beyond. It's not only about the collaboration between center and state governments. City governments are very important constituents. Private parties are very, very important constituents to provide the service. Like in the National Digital Health Mission, healthcare in the country is not going to get provided only by the public sector, only by central and state governments. The private institutions, private hospitals, private doctors are going to play an extremely important role for that delivery. So what you basically do is to try and create a platform, to create the kind of a common infrastructure where all the ecosystem players, central government, state governments, NGOs, private people, cities, everybody can come together and provide a joined up service versus everybody trying to cut the problem, look at it only from their point of view. The poor citizen in that case really suffers, does not get the full benefit of the service.
Atmanirbhar Bharat is the vision for energizing the ministries. How do you see the technology role or Atmanirbhar Bharat powered by technology? Will it give a new push, new energy, new power, energizing the goals?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think One thing is absolutely clear, that providing governance in the classic way for the needs of India is not feasible. If we say, for instance, and COVID has also been a good eye-opener in that context, whether if we have to solve for health or education, say for instance, technology has to be the enabler. If we want to adopt a similar global parameter of beds per million population or doctors per million population, we will always lag behind in trying to meet those criteria. Technology to come in as an enabler there makes it absolutely possible. And we've now seen it. We've seen it for education, for health. We've kind of seen it very, very well happening in the last few months. And I'm sure this will continue to propel as we go forward. Kind of having said that, for Atmanirbhar Bharat, first is the quality of governance. The upliftment of our people needs to happen in a very big way, and technology to play an important role comes in significantly. We could look at another view to it, and I think the session today you're focusing a lot around the PSUs and their role around Atmanirbhar Bharat. So if you look at PSUs in many segments or many sectors of the economy, whether it is aerospace, defense, or space, or industrial infrastructure, logistics, health, agriculture, coal, minerals, housing, all of these areas, PSUs have played a very pivotal role in driving India. And for Atmanirbhar Bharat, they have to play an equally critical role to kind of become the, in a way, propel, whether it's kind of domestic adoption, to get better synergies, to be able to work more closely with the MSMEs and smaller corporations, which are the backbone for India, to drive the import substitution, which we need to do to become more efficient, etc. And technology again needs to play an extremely critical role for the PSUs as well, as they start to become the foundation for Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Most of the central ministries are aligning with the Atmanirbhar Bharat and trying to value add to the government of India's vision to make it self-sustained, self-aligned Bharat. Suggestions from you, do you think state governments need to adopt aggressive technology so that they also align with to become self-sustained state governments and give a better services to the citizens, at the same time align with international opportunities that they can bring in more FDI to streamline the processes?
The Prime Minister has said it many times, and a number of people have said that Atmanirbhar Bharat is not about cutting India from the globe. That's very clear. It's about a proud India. It's about making sure that we collaborate with the world. It's about we leverage our core assets. It's about we act with conviction. We kind of are able to get the best of what we are able to get from India. It's not about not getting private capital. It's absolutely about getting international capital by making India such a good destination that they all want to come in. And it's kind of the only thing it tries to say that don't just export out our raw material or just don't import stuff as the way, but I think develop India to do that. And see, what is the central government in this? Central government is nothing but yes, it's a governance body separately, but otherwise it is putting the whole of India together, all the states together, and central government needs to work on it. And I think we are seeing a lot of action coming in from the states as well. Of course, center has started in a big way. Whether it is for getting investments in, whether it's about import substitutions, whether it's about getting the respective state PSUs to work or making the investment climate better, providing better governance. All those activities, the wheels of all legs of government will have to work extremely synergistically to make this grand self-reliant India dream come to a reality really fast.
There is a lot of room for central PSUs to play a major role in the government vision today. Any suggestions that you can give? Which are the key areas they should focus on?
See, the way I'd put this out is, and I did lay out some of the key ministries as the key areas where PSUs play a very, very important role. Defense, aerospace, space, industrial infrastructure, logistics, health, agri, coal, housing, etc. As I mentioned earlier, see, the way we need to look at this is to basically get them to collaborate more effectively. If I say the 5 mantras for PSUs to support self-reliant India, I can list that out. Collaborate with the overall ecosystem, with the private sector for driving overall indigenization, for technology upgradation, etc. Because they are, say, defense is a classic case. The Ordnance Factory Board, the government came out with a policy definition recently that will corporatize the Ordnance Factory Board and try and make it mainstream to work along with the private sector to develop the defense ecosystem in the country. They are the largest defense producers in the country today, and they need to work together. The other mantra I would say is to leverage the core assets that have been created in that, again, in all the sectors which I spoke about, to generate much greater revenue, to generate the vital infrastructure which is required for the manufacturing, logistics, and overall economic growth. The third pillar mantra I would like to say for that is act. Act as a platform and a bridge between the government and MSMEs, startups, research organizations, academia, etc., because they are in a unique position to be able to do that. So to be that bridge, act as that bridge. Substitute, of course. I think wherever there are large import-dependent products and services which we have, they have made very large investments, especially in those sectors, in the past. So they can be in the forefront to develop the indigenous variants. Space is a classic case where it's a public sector which has taken us where it has taken us, but just help it move forward. Many other sectors can learn from that and take it forward, defense being one there as well, and do in-house design into that. And last but not the least, the fifth mantra I would say is improvise. Improvise operations, delivery of goods, services required for the country during crisis, during otherwise. So act as the sponge for the economy, because yes, they operate with a motive to get the best money, but there is a social imperative with the PSU's drive. So they are in a very unique position with the investments made, with the strategic nature in which they operate, to really help transform India into a self-reliant India. But they have to be open as well and be kind of transforming themselves as they do that.
Digital platforms, as you rightly mentioned in the beginning, the platform that we are witnessing, do you see that these platforms have a potential to expand it as a service from India to other small countries like Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and other governments?
Why only small?
Small and big, small and big.
Small and big, absolutely. Yeah, say for instance, what we have done with UPI.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely better than world class as compared to anywhere else in the world. Aadhaar, for that matter. Any country, they are able. The cost of completing a transaction or a KYC in India today is much lower than anywhere else in the world, thanks to Aadhaar. The cost, speed, versatility of doing a payments transaction in India today with UPI is better than anywhere else in the world. we've kind of proved it, and it has started to be used outside. There is a MOSIP program which exists for the government. Morocco is the first country which has looked upon it to, that's a kind of Aadhaar type system which can be taken by other countries to use and benefit from. Morocco is in the process of implementing it. There are many other countries in line who are looking at, including Philippines. Recently I saw, who are keen to participate and work using the learnings we've had. We've seen of UPI in so many countries in the Middle East or some of our neighboring countries. That's being used. Even if you don't use the technology directly, but I think the thinking of solving population scale problems with ease. I think this will be the biggest learning India can provide to the world. Historically, it's been done not this way, but people have built either monolithic systems or they built monopolies which have done that. But I think what this population scale platforms which India is building and dreaming more and more of should change the world in a very different way, for everybody to think this way and solve for this way. Whether they use the same platform or not is good, but it's not the critical part. The thinking is the biggest part.
The final question, Mr. Neelrathan. The role of central PSUs in 2020, 2021, and some of the best expectations.
As I said, I think there is a lot of capital, capability, technology which has been invested in the public sector entities over the past many decades. My mantra, again, as I mentioned a bit earlier, is to just kind of unleash this, work collaboratively with the private sector, leveraging the revenue and infrastructure which they have, and creating new in an ecosystem to drive manufacturing, logistics overall, and act with a purpose. Act with a purpose, working with the bridge between government, MSME, support them, startups, research organizations, etc., and driving substitution and improvisation in the country. I think that's the core role I see them playing. They can't be doing everything on their own. They should not be, but I think that's not the role which we see. But how do they act as catalyst for the whole sector to grow and not attempt to do the whole thing on their own?
Any final words from you?
See, the way I look at it, I think we are at a very interesting juncture at this time. The pace of reforms which we've seen, which have been picked up, the geopolitical tensions which kind of exist right now, and the opportunities which it is throwing for India, this is a moment for India to seize. And I believe everybody, government, center, state, PSUs, private sector, individuals, media, all of us need to do our bit to make sure that we seize this moment in the best possible manner, so that we are able to envision a very different India and execute that over a very short period of time.
I'm sure. With all collective support and effort, I'm sure we'll achieve our vision. With this, thank you very much, Mr. Neelrathan, talking to us. With this, we conclude our interaction with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. A questionnaire will be circulated after every session so that you can share your feedback on the individual presentations and panel discussion. So you can, of course, add reminder to receive alerts before any of your preferred sessions starts. So feel free to use the comment box during the session to get on-the-spot answer from our subject matter experts.